If there's one thing that I realized during my first year here in the United States as a new immigrant, is that angels are for real. And I'm going to tell you more about it throughout this video, but I believe that God sends angels your way, especially in the most trying times of your life. At least that's what I think I've experienced. And not to be too dramatic, but I'm just really grateful for what an incredible year it's been. Oh, and can I just put it out there? Angels in Los Angeles? Wow. So today I just really want to do a life update because it's been about a year. That is if anyone's really watching. And frankly, I don't really care if anyone's really watching because this is my visual journal, damn it. So first things first, let's address the elephant in the room. That's me, talking in front of the camera. I am not gonna lie, this is a very stressful moment for me. But I realize life's too short, so might as well conquer that fear and insecurity, right? So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into my story, which is a year in the making, I should say. I arrived in California March 11th, 2018 for good, and I was both anxious and excited at the same time. I mean, not many people are given this incredible opportunity to live a brand new life in a beautiful country like the US, right? As many would say, it's the great American dream. So my first 3 weeks, I remember, was spent juggling between settling down, stressing myself over getting a new job, and suffering from jet lag, which was horrible, and trying to accomplish a lot of things, and all at the same time being depressed because I was away from home. But I realized that, you know what, this is my life now, and I'm not in the US for vacation anymore. All my relatives and friends and loved ones are on the other side of the globe, and it's not easy, you know? And there were so many times that I thought of giving up and just going back home because it was pretty depressing, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, I was also quite excited for the adventure that I'm gonna go through. And if you're doing it not for selfish reasons, it makes you want to hold on to it and really endure those sacrifices. I'm pretty sure most immigrants would agree that the first year is usually the toughest. So living in California, I realized that having a car is essential. Everything is far from everything, you know what I mean? Especially my first 3 weeks because I was staying with my sister in Chino, California. So that's when I realized that the first thing that I needed to do was actually get a driver's license and then eventually get a car so that I can get a job. So I tried to juggle all that, reviewing for the DMV exam, and then I eventually passed it, thank God. And then of course I had to pass the behind the wheel exam, which was nerve-wracking. And everything had to be done in the littlest amount of time I could possibly do it. And then all at the same time, I was also applying for jobs the moment I got here in the US. And from the very beginning, I already thought about it that life's too short for me to settle down in Chino because Chino is quite a laid-back city. And again, I was given this incredible opportunity to start over, so might as well make the most out of it, right? I mean, yes, I could have done the most common Filipino route of being a caregiver first and then eventually getting my nursing license because, by the way, I was a nurse back home in the Philippines. But then I realized a long time ago while I was working as an ICU nurse that it's not what I really want to do for the rest of my life. I mean, sure, it pays a lot to be a nurse here in the US. I know that. But it's just not me. You know what I mean? I always say life is too short. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes and whatever it is that I'm passionate about and whatever it is that I'm actually happy doing. And so, needless to say, I decided to pursue a career in the multimedia arts industry. And I thought there's no better place to pursue that for now than the big city, Los Angeles, the center of the entertainment industry, right? So, first few weeks, I was sleepless, stressed, and waiting for job interviews in Los Angeles. I remember I had to schedule 2 to 3 interviews in a day just to make the most out of my commute from Chino to LA because it costs me about $200 just to go back and forth with an Uber from Chino to LA. Then I realized that I can't keep doing that because I'm gonna run out of funds eventually. So after spending about $1,000 just for transportation alone, I realized I needed to learn how to take the bus and the train going in and out of LA. And mind you, from where I was staying in Chino, even if I'm gonna take the bus and train, I'd still have to take an Uber just to get to the bus station, which is about 10 to 15 bucks one way. And then I had to take 3 to 4 bus rides, depending on where in LA I'm gonna go, which would be about 3 to 4 hours in total transportation time one way. And then I had to do it all over again to go back home. So it was not easy, which made me decide that I needed to get an apartment to wherever city that I'm gonna be hired. And then came my third week after I arrived in the United States that I got a job offer from a wig company to be a social media specialist. And so I was pretty excited about it. The same day that I got a job offer, I was checking Craigslist and I found a room for rent in the same city. By the way, apartment hunting in Los Angeles is not easy. Rents are damn too high. And when I was initially looking for a place to rent, I realized that my budget would only get me a bunk bed, sharing it with 18 other people in a big room. Which honestly, I was even willing to do that just to be able to pursue my goals. So I found an ad on Craigslist looking for a tenant for a room for just about the exact amount of what I can afford to pay. And I thought an entire room for myself for that amount without 18 other strangers in it must be too good to be true, but what the hell, right? So the same day that I got the job offer from the wig company, I had to check out the room, of course. And I remember telling myself that as long as it's not a crack house or whatever, then I'm good with it. And fortunately, it was not. It was actually a lovely little family house of a Vietnamese American family. So I got a job and a room to rent. Now all I had to do was to tell my sister that I am moving out. And that did not go well. She got really mad and I had to leave the same day I tried to tell her. And so I packed my bags. So here's my first angel encounter. Back when I was taking my Uber rides from Chino to LA, I met this lovely lady. She was my Uber driver and she happens to live in Chino as well. Anyway, the moment I closed my last luggage and I'm about to head out the door, I suddenly received a text message from her asking me how am I doing. And I thought that was so strange and weird because of all the moments, right? So I told her about what happened and she eventually offered to give me a ride from Chino to LA, which is not cheap, but it was perfect because I wasn't so sure how I can afford another Uber ride from Chino to LA. So we went off and I was able to move into my new home. I got no bed, I got no pillow, I got no blanket, I got nothing. My first night would probably be the hardest and most unforgettable. It was freezing cold and I was lying on the hardwood floor with no food and really not knowing what's ahead of me, you know? My first few days, I was just crying. And not because of the situation that I'm into, but because I'm overwhelmed. So that was the toughest week. And then I had to start with the new job, which of course I felt so blessed to have because I get to do what I love to do, which is video production, content creation, and social media management. and doing marketing strategies for the company. I was doing photo shoots and video shoots with professional Los Angeles models, and I was really finally able to get it going, you know? All at the same time, another angel came my way through the form of my landlady. So the moment we both agreed that I'm gonna rent the room, she told me about the house rules, and one of those is that I'm not allowed to use the kitchen. I'm not allowed to cook. It was a little strange, but I had to agree to it because I was desperate and I thought it was still a pretty good deal, you know? And then I found out that the reason why she doesn't want me to use her kitchen is because she's cooking all the time. But with that same reason, she was also very generous enough to be giving me food, free food, every day. Home cooked Vietnamese free food. And she gives me a lot. So much so that I can actually take some for lunch the next day. And I thought I was just really blessed. Anyway, it all happened in April, right? And that same month, before the month ended, I was also able to get my own car. It was a pre-loved 2005 Honda Civic Hybrid, and it's not the most fancy one, but that's all that I can afford, and I'm proud of it, and I love it. Needless to say, I was just working my ass off like there's no tomorrow. I feel like I have never worked that hard in my entire life, the first few months that I'm here in the US. But being able to accomplish all those in that span of time is a very fulfilling and proud moment for me. Then, after about 3 months of working for the wig company, I got another call from a job that I applied for way back when I was still looking for a job. And they invited me for an interview, and I thought, why not, you know? I decided to attend the interview, and I was an hour late. Not a very good way to create your first impression, right? And I can tell that the hiring manager was pretty pissed. But I can't do anything. I cannot turn back time anymore, right? So I just went on with the interview, and I thought it would be impossible for me to get that job. Next thing I knew, they were calling me every week as the hiring process progresses. But I was keeping my hopes low because I was pretty comfortable with my current job. I have a very big office there. I get to do what I love to do, and the president of the company trusts me and liked whatever I was putting out there. And so it easily became my comfort zone, right? But the other job offered me a pretty decent salary, so I couldn't say no to it. So that's when I decided to leave my beloved job as a social media specialist to pursue another at a credit union as a marketing specialist. Basically, I'm still gonna be able to do everything that I love to do, which is marketing strategy, content creation, events management, and graphic design. And so I decided to transfer, and I was fortunate enough that they were all so nice that I met a lot of new friends, and so far I'm enjoying it. And looking back, I realized that that particular hiring manager, which is now my manager, is actually another angel in disguise, because there were so many struggles that I had to go through before getting this job, but for some reason all those still led me to getting the job because she believed in me. So there you go. That's been my life in America so far. No one knows what the future holds, but I'm just really optimistic that it's only gonna get better. Anyway, thank you so much for staying with me and watching this video. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe on my channel, leave a comment down below, and hit the notification button so I can keep you posted on my latest episode, which hopefully would be more regular. Life's too short, so remember to always enjoy the moment, have faith, put a little art into it, and keep on keeping on.